lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, Paul, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane, and 10th Man in the Google Plus Hangout. How are you doing?
Hello.
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 Good morning.
Good morning. We're also joined by Dallas David, Dougie, and Righteous... got Righteous Force in two places at once, so just Dallas and Dougie in the Discord server. Hello to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Any signs of Earth curvature?
None whatsoever.
Not on Earth.
Nope.
Not yeah. Hello.
Any signs of Skype calls?
Yeah, my bad. I should keep that line closed.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nada.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No apparent distance.
Any scientific evidence for gravity?
None.
No.
Scientific evidence of what?
Any?
Nah. None of
Been
that.
joined by Melochromatic. Hello, good to have you.
Hello.
Hello.
What's up, hello?
Any evidence that we can have gas pressure without a container?
The necessary antecedent? No.
Nope.
I think that's an ongoing conversation, isn't it?
Here we go.
Not really.
I would like Dave to unpack his theory one more time.
Yeah, do you want me to present you, Paul?
No. I want Dave to unpack it, and then you can present me, and then we'll go over what I...
Okay, any evidence of the R value?
There are be none here.
R.
No
No.
R.
Any
Only
evidence?
R is the reification of the globe model. That's it.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No way.
Disappointing, but no.
Some.
Some? Excellent. This is my favourite one.
Where?
Who said some?
P. Mars, who's contained in a little cage on Skype currently because he showed his ass on one of the shows. So I might dump him.
Oh,
Well,
he's not worth it.
You can show your butt on YouTube. It's okay.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I put it on my
Oh, that's
channel.
nice. I don't really want your ass on my show.
Just saying, if you wanted to.
No,
Okay.
it took me 2 hours away from my child editing out your ass. So, no, I'd prefer not to spend 2 hours editing your ass out of my show, P.
Could you send me that?
Yeah, it's
You
as
still
interesting.
have it?
Right. Paul, you're up.
Okay, Dave, can you unpack your theory about temperature containing containing the gas pressure. Can you unpack that, Dave? And then I'd like to show you what I've got. Can you hear me?
Yes. What do you mean by unpack?
Describe the theory you have that temperature is the containment of the gas pressure.
Well, you can control the temperature. You've got to remember that the Earth is surrounded by cold, correct?
What?
Okay.
Hold on. What do you mean, okay? Says who?
Well, it's just like the top of every mountain is iced over. So we just from natural, Nathan, you like that natural law stuff. The higher you go, the colder it gets. We saw the video yesterday.
Says who?
Where you took the balloon, and Randy and them even called you out on it, and you couldn't even admit that the balloon was expanding and contracting because of temperature yesterday. We watched the show.
Sorry, no, you didn't establish that cause and effect relationship whatsoever.
Yeah, he did. The balloon showed itself as the temperature rose. The balloon would increase in size.
Sorry, can you stop talking? You said you have validated that cause and effect relationship. Did you hear the question, David?
What?
You said you'd validated that cause and effect relationship. The balloon, the effect of the balloon expanding, not exactly a natural phenomena, but you've established that the cause of that was temperature. You've validated that with systematic experimentation, have you, David, to validate that it's not just a presumption of a cause, it's a valid, established cause. You've done that, have you?
The video that his proof is that he stepped on his own whatever, because his video shows that as the temperature increases, the balloon size increases.
Sorry, that's called a David. That's called a correlation. It's not causation being established through system. I'm talking, David, and smashing your assertion that it's a causal relationship that you've not validated. So no, we don't agree with you that A, we're surrounded by cold, or B, that's a causal relationship established by watching a video and correlating numbers. No, we don't agree. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay,
well,
now
we've got 4 against 2 right now because Chemo, me, Riley, and Tony, and a couple of other people. It's just like common sense. You had this balloon.
Let me just get it clear. I couldn't give a crap what the consensus thinks. I don't care if 2 billion people think we live on a spinning sphere. I know that's not true. So you think because Riley, apparently, and Spurs agree with this horse crap that's not been validated, that I should agree with it also? No. Sorry.
Does the balloon increase in size as the heat increases?
It's called a correlation. I've just said this. Correlation.
Well, the balloon is pressurized, right, with helium inside of the balloon. The helium balloon contracts and expands because of the temperature, correct?
Thermal expansion.
There is that's a given. Temperature increases pressure. Okay, we can agree there.
Okay. All right. So exactly. Okay. So what does that balloon do? It contracts. So what are you going to do? Just like you said, when you go up 100,000 feet, it's 50 below zero. It's contracted.
No, it's not.
All the air is contracted and held on the Earth just at 100,000 feet. What gases are above that? We don't. I don't have the answers to that. That'll be the next step in the proof of what we're saying. But just the point that it's 50 degrees below zero, 100,000 feet above the ground, goes to show you what we're saying is very possible.
Actually, what
you ready, Paul?
Said, yeah. What you just said is incorrect, and I've got data to prove it.
Your data confirms exactly what me and Spurs and Riley and Randy and everybody else is saying. If you come to the wrong conclusion,
have you looked at the data? Have you looked at the data? Have you looked at the data? I've got it on screen right now.
Can you either access the live stream without turning the sound on, or is it posted in Discord by chance, Paul?
I can't. Well, it's a file, so I'd have to screenshot it to do that. But I can give anybody the data, and I will tell you where I got the data.
No,
so you
that's
can go
fine.
to
That's
the
fine.
source.
Hold on, David. Can you see the live stream? Just don't play the sound.
Yeah, I'm over on Discord. Let me give me a second.
No worries. Just like I say, keep it on mute, but go to the YouTube page with the live stream, and then you can see the data that Paul's got on screen.
Paul, you want me to screenshot it real quick and post it in Discord?
If you want to, yeah. I'm gonna scroll so they can see what's going on. So
Hey, Arwin.
I'll stop.
Mora
All
Arvin.
right. Well,
We're
just to
right in the
give
middle of something.
people
Just FYI, just so you know, Arwin. Thanks for joining.
Sorry?
We're right slap bang in the middle of something. I just wanted to say a quick hello, but let you know that Paul and David are right in the middle of something, just so you don't go, oh, by the way, I've got this really interesting thing that happened.
I was just gonna... Nah, go ahead.
Okay, David, can you see it on the live stream yet?
David, I posted the live stream show in Discord.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, can you see it? I want to make sure you can see the data, so we're talking and looking at the same thing. Are you there? Are you looking at the same data on the live stream?
One more second, but go ahead and explain so we can keep rolling the show here. I
want to make sure you're on the same page, so we're looking at the same thing, so that there's no doubt, no confusion. I mean, we've already went over this yesterday a little bit, so I mean, I don't want to have to. I mean, I don't care to repeat myself, but I want you to make sure you're understanding. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Silence is okay.
We're just waiting for you to say that you can see it, David. That's literally all we're waiting for.
Yeah, I enjoyed the data yesterday.
Yeah, so Righteous posted the link to the live stream, and I posted a screenshot of that first part of Paul's screen. So hopefully that'll help.
Have you got some stress balls?
Is that the highest he's gone before with his balloon?
No, this is the middle of what's going on. So it's not the end. That's part of the argument.
Remember when you posted that David Kellum balloon in Skype with the temperature readings?
Yeah, was that me? Did I do that?
I thought it was you.
It might have been. Yeah, that's one of them. He actually has a video where he's got the data on screen as the balloon is ascending, so you can actually watch the data change on screen.
Yeah, and the data I don't think matches the data on what you got here.
Well, he told me, I talked to him, emailed him. He says there is certain conditions that it does change slightly depending on the sun and stuff like that. So the conditions will change, depending on the sun and stuff like that. So he did qualify that in the email he exchanged with me. But this data, though, this piece of data disproves what Dave's saying. And even that one video, if you watch it, the data may be slightly different, but you can still see the same thing occurring.
Yes.
He also has a video where you can see the curve.
Oh, hold on, Pete. We're in the middle of something.
I've got it up here, and the one thing I want to say is the number one thing that causes temperature change. You just want to dismiss it in the scenario of all this information is the sun, because the source of all heat on Earth is from the sun. So you can't dismiss that the changes. There'll be changes because of sun. Just the amount of time that a balloon takes to travel from the ground up could be 2 to 3 hours or whatever it is. That sun will go from sunrise to midday during this climb.
David, this response to a non-point that nobody's made. David's right in the middle of something. All we needed you to say was, yes, I can see it now. Can you now see it?
Can you see the data, Dave? Yes or no question?
Yes.
Okay. I can scroll back up and show you this whole data. I can send you the file. So whatever you want me to do, just drop your email in the Discord or something like that, and I will send you the data. Right here around, let's see, column G is the altitude in feet. Column J is the temperature. Column K is the pressure. Okay. If you notice, right around 56,000 feet, somewhere right in here, the temperature kind of bottoms out at negative 70 degrees below zero. Okay, and the pressure is like 1.3. But if you start watching as the balloon is rising, the temperature starts to increase. Like now, right now it's kind of stable, but if you keep going and keep going, I'm going to jump down to where it kind of tops out. Oops, sorry. My upload is trying to keep up with it. I think it's around 119,000 feet. Right around in here somewhere. Where's it at? My computer. Okay, whoop, I went too far. Right around 119,000 feet. The temperature has climbed to 12 degrees, to basically 12 degrees. And the pressure is still very low. So, I mean, I'm not going to deny anything about the pressure. It's still very low. But the temperature basically actually tops out at what? 13? About 13, almost 14 degrees. So the temperature got hotter as the balloon rose. Why, if temperature is the containment of the gas pressure, how do you account for this? Because there's still pressure. It's very low, but it's still there. But the temperature is very hot.
Well, you've got two situations that you got to take into account here. Okay, the guy that is doing the test is a globe earther. The second one is that they're
the data.
Okay. The second point
What
being
does that
is,
got to do with it?
are they using a mercury barometer? Because if they're not using a mercury barometer and they're going to a man-made barometer instead of a mercury barometer, then we don't know that the actual temperatures are being read correctly. And if this is not just a situation where they're giving you the information they want you to have, okay?
Okay, you're more than welcome to reach out.
Until a full test can be done by flat earthers, we know that at 60,000
Okay, we got your point. We got your point. It doesn't need a supplementary point. Thank you.
If you have any evidence, empirical evidence that would directly contradict these readings,
well, the main thing is
evidence,
that
would be nice.
Mercury freezes at like 50 below zero. Okay, so the point being is you can no longer read barometric pressure with a mercury barometer after below 50 below zero. So we would have to see this mercury go from a frozen state and then warm up. The one conclusion we do have is by watching the balloon, which we have done. We watch the balloon contract and expand because of the temperature.
Why do you keep doing this? Everyone stop, right? No. He's just asserting causal relationships again. I already dealt with this, didn't I? It's not a causal relationship that you've established. It's a correlation and that you've just decided to say is the cause.
Okay, does the balloon contract
Don't ask
when it
me
gets
something.
cold? Yes or no?
I've already smashed this. Every time you assert that you've got an established cause, I'm going to ask you how you validated it. And when you go, well, it's obvious. No, you've got a correlation.
Because things contract.
I don't want this argument with me to continue. I don't want my Paul, please continue, Paul. I've already demolished this bit. Go ahead.
I will say I didn't get into the details of what he used. The guy's name that I got this data from is Dwayne Kellum. He does a lot of high altitude balloon launches, amateur balloon launches. He's got YouTube videos all over. So if you want to reach out to him and ask him what he used and the equipment he used, all I asked him for was the data. And all I'm saying simply is if temperature is the containment of gas pressure, this data disproves that. This is very simple.
It depends on the freezing point of the gas, correct? Each
okay,
gas
we went over this
once
before. Now let's
every gas
wait,
has a different
freezing point of gas.
Erwin, hang on. That's okay. Hey, I've already addressed this a few episodes ago. Okay, and I asked you, at what point does oxygen, or oxygen specifically, start to boil at sea level? And you didn't know. Okay, or not freeze. It starts to boil. Well, yeah, I guess it does. It starts to boil, not freeze.
See, why do you go to boil instead of freeze?
Hang on.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Let me say something.
Shut up, David. He's not finished.
I've already addressed this. The oxygen freezes at sea level at negative 295 degrees. Negative. Okay.
195 degrees.
This temperature does not reach that low.
David, please. Hold on a second.
Freezing is boiling.
David.
Hey, Mark, is that a real kid in your background? Is that a recording where somebody wants to bother you? They turn it
server.
on.
David, I'm going to have to kick you out if you continually rumpus the Discord server so they can't hear anything.
You would think at a lower pressure that the temperature that water is going to boil is going to be even low, what's the word I'm looking for?
Water to freeze water to boil.
It's going to be lower temperature at the point where it's going to boil because it's lower
Paul,
pressure.
he's not going to let you pause for thought. He's taking every opportunity that you even breathe to interrupt you and hijack your point. So this is your last chance, David. Please let him give the concise summary, or I'm going to have to kick you out.
That means no interrupting until Paul says so.
Are we ready?
I think so.
Okay, because there's lower pressure, the temperature of that water will boil will be lower or high. I'm sorry. How's that? I think I'm saying that wrong. If oxygen boils at sea level at negative 29 degrees, then it would boil at even lower temperature with less pressure. That's what I'm trying to say. Just like water boils inside of a vacuum chamber, even at the same temperature, it boils because there's lower pressure. So oxygen would boil at even lower temperature without that pressure. Right. So again, your point is mute.
Good point. The pressure moves
hold on, Owen.
the boiling and solidifying.
Owen, it's been really concisely summarised, right? He's smashed his point. I just want to hear David's response. I've only kept him here so he can say, okay, or, no, you're wrong.
Paul, I'm not sure if you're an agent, but you're completely wrong. And here's the reason why.
Agent. Wow.
Shut up! I want to hear David. Please, go ahead, David.
First off, do things contract when they get cold, or do they expand?
Hold on, you just said here's why, and now you're asking him something. You made an affirmative statement, and now you're asking... David, you're now talking over me. David, that's basically a hand wave dismissal followed by a question. That's not why. You said, here's why, and then you asked him something. That's not explaining why he's wrong. So hand wave dismissal.
Everything. I don't know why he's even going to the boiling point of water. Okay, that doesn't even have anything to do with the conversation that we're having.
He's not. You didn't listen. He's not. You didn't listen. He's not. You did not listen to what he said.
Yeah, sorry, Nathan. I just want to interrupt. This Dallas David has been trolling around Flat Earth for a while now with his stupid accent. He's a twat.
Look, he's entitled to his opinion.
Yeah, he is, but I'm entitled to mine. So say he's twat. He's been trolling for a while.
Well, you're one of these guys that believes gravity holds the atmosphere in. We've already got it, and so does Mark. Mark believes that also. So we've got to fix this here, okay? Gravity is not holding the atmosphere on the Earth. Understand that, right?
No, is it to spew rhetoric? So what he's just done is thought, right, the point's been smashed. He's been asked why it's not been smashed. He's hand wave dismissed it, asked a question, and now started spewing rhetoric about gravity. What the hell, man?
Do things contract or expand as they get hot?
That's another question. All right, I'm going to get Paul to make his summary again, because basically all you've done is obfuscated it. So the summary, all it needed at the end, like you not saying, yes, I can see the data for 10 minutes, so the point gets slightly lost. Yeah? And that's what you're doing now, David, hoping the point will get lost. So, screw you. I'm hoping, if Paul can, he'll make this summary again, and we'll see if we get a concession from you or not.
Real simple.
Yeah.
Since as a correlation, oxygen boils at sea level at negative.
I don't want to talk about oxygen. I want to talk about.
Oh, I see.
Gas.
I see.
It's a
So
freaking
it's time
gas.
for David to leave, because rather than the point being made, so he can equivocate it with boiling water when that's not the point being made, right? So what is that? It just equivocating and destroying his summary? You've been obliterated by this, and rather than listening to it, you're going to say, I don't want to talk about. Well, then sod off. Go to some fundy website where you can talk about whatever crap you believe in, and we'll stick with the empirical data. Okay, David? Feel free to continue, Paul. Please, I'd like the summary to be made at least once concisely. Thank you.
Okay. If you, I'll try to rephrase it again. If you increase the pressure, you increase the boiling point of a substance, like water, as an example. Oxygen boils at negative 300 degrees at sea level. You remove the pressure, which is as you go up, that's what's happening. That means you're reducing the boiling point of oxygen. So temperature cannot be a container, because if your temperature is increasing at the higher levels, the oxygen is in a gaseous state. Simply, any gas substance is going to be at a gaseous state, even at this level. You can't show it condensing at this level. Basically, is that
Awesome.
a good point?
Thank you, Paul. Excellent.
Okay. Now you guys can comment. I'm getting some emails I'm going to have to respond to.
Oh, God. Hi, Spurs.
Hey, just checking the microphones there. All coming through okay?
What's up, Spurs?
Hey, how we going? How's David doing?
Horribly.
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he kept on interrupting and rumpusing the Discord server so they couldn't hear anything.
What, you have data there, Paul?
I do.
Okay.
You've heard of Dwayne Kellum?
But before you give me that data, what's the difference between this data and, say, data from Cavendish that proves gravity?
What?
Well, the data from Cavendish
Paul,
didn't prove
Paul,
gravity.
if you don't mind,
That's
if
the
you don't mind,
difference.
Paul, if
That-
you could give us an answer.
This is
Paul.
data.
Sorry,
Paul, if you don't mind,
before
Paul,
rumpusing
if you-
starts.
if you
Spurs
don't
is
mind,
speaking.
Paul, you know.
Hold on, Spurs. That question is speaking to the point I made with David. So if it's okay with Paul, I'd like to address that. If Paul's okay with that.
I am perfectly okay with
Cool.
Nathan answering that question.
So at a stage you may or may not have listened to, Spurs, David asserted a causal relationship, which I pointed out was simply a correlation. Now, in the case of Cavendish, they're not establishing the cause of a phenomena that they observe either. So there is no scientific validity to either. Neither have established the cause of an effect with systematic experimentation based on hypothesis. Its declaration by David is no better than the declarations made by those who string balls up in sheds, to answer your question.
Yes. The only difference here is these are actual readings. Cavendish just had a machination and drew a conclusion. There wasn't even real data there. It's just a machination. This is real data. Or
Okay, can we get back to
presumably
the
so.
conversation now, or is this
No, just laying out how it is very much different to Cavendish.
okay?
Like you
So,
claim.
Paul, you have presented data, which we see numbers. Now, if I present you data that shows gravity exists, what is the difference between your data and my data? Paul.
Show me your data.
Hold on.
Then we'll talk about it.
Paul's not asserting cause. You are. That's the difference. So what's the difference?
No,
Well, from Paul's perspective,
presenting
none. He's
data.
just presenting numbers that fly in the face of an assertion you've made, or Paul's made, or David's made, sorry. So that's what he's doing. He's not making any assertions of what causes these numbers. You are. You're making a causal assertion. So is David. That's the difference.
No, I'm saying,
readings.
I'm not saying about temperature. I'm asking if the Cavendish shows movement, we have a device, man-made device, and it shows us something, and I write the data down, and then Paul has a man-made device, and it shows him something, and he writes the data down, what's the difference?
Well, this is consistent.
Paul, you,
And it has
Paul is
actual
not
structure that
performing an
functions
experiment.
as independent on
when I
some
ask Paul a
random
question, I don't get why when I ask Paul a question,
yeah, there's no
somebody else
discussion
has
with
to ask
you,
the
really, is
question.
there? Because if
Yeah,
I
no,
try
no,
to give
no,
an
you're
answer,
supposed to
you
got a point,
immediately
Arvid.
start
Come
over-talking me
on.
I don't mind
after
asking
Come
you
on.
afterwards.
He's
Arvid.
asking
I'm just saying
Paul.
to Paul,
Let's see if Paul's response is sufficient. Go ahead, Paul.
I'm definitely not making an assertion about cause and effect. I'm just showing that there's a correlation between pressure, altitude, and temperature.
Okay, so I'm saying the same thing. We have a correlation between force and the movement, and here's gravity, and which proves atmospheric pressure. What's the difference? All we have is data. I'm asking you the difference.
No, I don't understand your claim.
That's why I'm asking Paul.
I'm actually got a 2-year-old screaming in the background, as you can hear. So sorry.
Right, and I feel about
Oh,
the
that's
same.
fine. There's no need to argue. There's no need to get stressed and frustrated. We'll wait till Paul returns and find out what's the difference between that data and data for Cavendish. Yeah?
Well, I
Real
can
simple.
answer.
Real simple. I'm going to answer it over a screaming toddler. It's determining what your assertion is the cause of something. That's what it is. If you're saying temperature is the container of the gas pressure, this data disproves that.
Ah, so your data is not cause and effect.
It's
Spurs. His data is readings of what's going on in the atmosphere while the balloon is going up. That's
I
it.
know. All right. That's what
The
I find out.
Cavendish was a pseudo experiment.
It
Okay,
didn't
Two
even
different
take
things.
I'm
readings.
not arguing that. I'm just
Cavendish
saying that
didn't take
what
readings.
Paul was
There
presenting
was no
See, but
data
you-
involved with Cavendish, just a conclusion and a
Oh,
One at a
I'm only
formula. There
time.
were
asking
no
a difference.
readings.
Oh, God. It's turning into a shit show. One at a time.
Okay. So I was only asking Paul, what was the difference between this? So basically, he's not giving science. He's just giving data that he has input because he has a device and the device told him something. It was written down and he's now presenting it. So that's not science. It's just data. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Empirical
fine. No
data.
argument. There's no argument. I thought it was scientific proof of atmospheric pressure, Paul, because you were saying toe tag. So now we know it's just regular data with a device that reads numbers are arbitrary. It's just simple data. No argument here. David,
Well,
I don't know why
wait a
you
minute,
get so stressed out.
It's empirical data, field data, real data, confirmable data,
And
not
also,
a vague conclusion without data.
and the device is meant, each device, whether an altimeter, a thermometer, or barometer, are all designed to do specific things to measure something. They're measuring devices. So I'm not saying the cause of anything, but they're measuring something.
Okay.
And I think they can show something if they're measuring something. So the lack of I mean, I've said this. You missed yesterday's show.
No. You've said it all, Paul. Before you go off the rail, that was the correct answer. So yes, you can show something that is occurring. You could extract a phenomena from pressure changes. I could definitely extract a natural phenomena from that. Whether or not I could go forth and establish the cause is a different story. But yeah, you could definitely establish a phenomena from what Paul has presented in data terms of an accurate log of that phenomena, if you want to call it that. It's not, because it's not natural. It's what happens when a balloon goes up. Nevertheless, there is no natural phenomena in the Cavendish experiment. It's conjured within the apparatus itself. So this isn't conjured within the balloon apparatus. It's observing something that occurs in the natural surroundings, as opposed to somebody talk while I talk. Yeah, you could get a phenomena out of this. You couldn't get one out of Cavendish.
Yeah,
can
that
get
was
a
my
Can I
phenomena-
point
just
exactly.
throw out there now? I'm
Sorry, you can get a
can I
phenomena
just
out of
interrupt?
the
Just a
balloon.
quick mention here. Yeah, I've studied the Cavendish quite a lot, and it's clearly not an experiment. I'm a flat earther, but I would like to say that this balloon, whatever data it is, I think the data is actually contained in the device which captures the data, rather than So this pressure is just a reading of a device which is man-made, a reading of a man-made device.
No, that's not relevant.
Am I wrong?
It's not the phenomena.
It's not relevant, exactly. The only thing
It's
that's
not the
relevant
Okay, if
in
you don't
terms
think
of...
it's relevant, that's fine. Just
Well,
putting it out there.
It would be
It's only-
stored. It's just how the information is stored.
Okay,
It's not the
let me just lay it
phenomena
out.
itself.
Right. When we criticise man-made devices like the Cavendish experiment, it is because that is what they are claiming the phenomena is. Now, that's not the claim here. We're not saying that whatever the needle does on this device that's measuring the pressure differential, or the number that appears, is the phenomena. That's not the declaration being made. Whereas mass attracting mass, what is claimed to be happening in the Cavendish, is their phenomena. It's also both their dependent and independent variable. It's an utter train wreck, right? Absolutely not science. Now, this isn't being asserted as science. It's just measuring data of things that happen in your surroundings. No one's asserting science. They absolutely assert science with the Cavendish quote-unquote experiment. Paul's not called this an experiment. It's just data. That's all it is. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but the phenomena is not in Cavendish. The phenomena is in the natural world. Things fall, so they built a device to measure it.
What, falling? So things are falling in the Cavendish experiment? Are they bollocks? You've got balls strung up with torsion bars. It's not measuring falling, and the only reason things fall are usually because they're in disequilibrium, i.e. out of balance, unlike most of the surroundings that we see all day, every day. Typically, things are in equilibrium. So your forced disequilibrium, ignoring the thing that's forced it, followed by an experiment in quotes to figure out why it's falling, then transposed into sideways lateral motion of balls suspended in sheds on a torsion bar, is the biggest train wreck there is. It's definitely not science. It's definitely not a natural phenomena. And as I already stated, both dependent and independent variables are the same bloody thing. Mass, undefined and equivocated. So this is a train wreck. All Paul's doing is showing data.
I agree with that. It's like, a person they're on the earth and they say, well, there's a force, there's a pressure, and they can either test this or they can just either go with what they feel, right? Because obviously you have to verify. If I say to you there's a pressure, you would say, well, how do you know? You would say, well, obviously there's a device, there's a test, you can do this, so on and so forth. If someone says, oh, there's gravity, you would say, how do you know? Oh, well, there's a test, there's a device. So, yeah, I don't see any difference between this data Paul has presented and what the Globe Earth has presented as data. They have a device, they have a claim that something is, and without science, they're just telling us, well, this is what the data says.
You don't need science to declare how hot the day is or what the pressure is. You can just measure it. It's an occurrence, that's it. You're not scientifically validating the cause of that occurrence. Whereas in the quote-unquote Cavendish experiment, they're claiming to have the cause of an occurrence that they conjure within the man-made apparatus. Whereas what's occurring could definitely be established naturally in the surroundings without any apparatus. So we're not establishing cause.
Well, can I say something? Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay. Pressure change and temperature change are natural phenomena. Okay, and we've determined through scientific means we can determine what can cause pressure change, what can cause temperature change. Once they've figured out this phenomenon and we kind of understand it, we created this thing called devices or measuring instruments. We gave them arbitrary numbers, we gave them arbitrary values, so we can determine the measurability of the change in those phenomena that we see and occur every day. And all you're seeing on this data is man-made measuring devices to determine this pressure change or temperature change or pressure change within the natural world. Those are the things we use every day. That's why pilots use them. That's why we have a thermometer on the outside of our homes. That's why there's the mercury barometer, whatever we've been talking about.
Okay, you're right, but I've got to make one minor correction. I'm really sorry, Paul, but no, laws do not go through the scientific method. You're not giving scientific validity to Boyle's law. It's a simple pressure volume law in relation to what happens, the cause of which will elude you always. You're not going to establish the cause. It's a law. They don't go through the scientific method. So just a minor correction. Other than that, perfect.
Okay, so Paul said pressure is a natural phenomenon. And as I've stated, Paul, water is the or liquid is the only pressure that... Well, hold on. How did Paul get to speak? And then I never interrupted. And then I say one or two words.
Him. Let me get his question out.
And then Nathan is not stopping Arwin from...
I am misquoting him. He said pressure change, not pressure.
Yeah,
correct. Well, let me finish, then he can correct me, right?
If you're going to misquote him, yes.
Arwin, okay? I waited patiently. I wrote down his points, and I want to address them. Yes? So he said pressure is a natural phenomenon. And as I've said, water is the only natural pressure reading that we will be able to take, or liquid in that type of form. Now, if you're saying pressure is a natural phenomena, how are you going to manipulate these variables to demonstrate that this is a natural phenomenon, Paul?
It's called a vacuum chamber or a pressure chamber.
Okay.
You contain it, and then you can either remove the pressure or increase the pressure inside these chambers. So that's how you would manipulate this natural phenomenon.
Okay, so we're seeing the natural phenomenon. We're seeing this pressure, this natural phenomena in the chamber. Yeah.
Now you see it, but then you have to have a controlled environment to determine what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what the vacuum chamber is doing. It's giving you a controlled environment.
To isolate the independent variable.
No problem, Paul. So you've got a controlled environment. You see a natural phenomenon that you're saying. Now, how do we demonstrate this in the real world, out in nature?
I get a tea kettle, put it on the stove, turn the temperature up.
Yeah.
I get pressure with heat.
You get pressure with the heat. Yeah, so you're reading water pressure. Okay. We're talking about atmosphere.
What's your point? What's your point? Let's get to the chase. What's your point?
So pressure is a natural phenomenon. I'm saying that water pressure is the only pressure.
Right, I'm gonna have to stop you. Owen's interrupted you twice to say this to you. No pressure. No phenomena. Something happening. Pressure changes. You could argue is a phenomena.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, let's argue it then. Let's argue this pressure change be the phenomenon.
I want
to demonstrate this in the real
I want to
world?
draw a line under this because I want Arwin to smash the living daylights out of some of your assertions about Cavendish. A little birdie tells me he's got a pre-prepared presentation.
No, I don't believe in Cavendish. Cavendish is nonsense. But I'm saying that
now I can't leave it hanging out there like it's something real when Arwin's got a nice, tidy presentation.
No, the point is that data, when we read data from Cavendish and data from Paul's work, what's the difference? That's what I was asking.
The difference is there is no natural... We've just... It's been said to you by Arwin, it's been said to you by Paul, it's been said to be by me at the beginning, right? What more do you want? There is no phenomena. It's conjured in the apparatus in Cavendish. You're not observing gravity in the natural world, but you're definitely observing pressure differential. God, what's the problem? There's a phenomena in one and not in the other.
Yeah. And there is no data in Cavendish. That's very important. There's no data. This data Paul is using will still be there and can be used to figure out whatever, because the data is the data. Cavendish experiment supposedly has no data.
Yeah, Cavendish is nonsense. I agree. That's my point.
So why did you compare them? There is no comparable.
They're not data from Cavendish and data from what Paul is saying.
There is no data from Cavendish. That was my point. Did you listen?
So I could say the same here. That Nathan already said it. It's not science. So we just see it as somebody writing numbers down and arbitrarily.
No, there is no data with Cavendish. Are you deaf?
Pressure gauges, pressure barometers. Yes.
You were talking about Cavendish, weren't you?
Yes, and I'm saying I'm comparing.
There is no data with Cavendish. How many times do I need to say this before you stop saying the data from Cavendish? There is no data from Cavendish.
Cavendish is bunk. Forget
it
about
has no data.
Yeah, I know this.
No,
He's
but why do you keep
he's trying to
saying it?
dismiss the
Why do you
data.
keep saying it then?
Yeah, I know they have no data. I know they have no
Why do you
experiment,
keep
Arwin.
stating
I
it
understand
in
that.
your arguments?
He's
That's
just
why I'm
trying to
asking
dismiss the
Paul.
data.
Paul understands what I mean, Arwin. That was the point, you see?
You're better off comparing tire pressure gauges to Paul rather than Cavendish because there's no data in Cavendish spurs.
Well, they might say, I mean, just to mediate, they might say, oh, the ball's showing a traction at this rate, and they write it down. They say,
That's
look,
observation.
That would be great, Spurs, but where
Observation.
do we see that in reality? We don't.
nowhere. So where do we see pressure in reality?
Exactly.
When
But
you
see, the
breathe,
difference is
when you breathe, that's where you see
Other than liquid pressure, chocolate, where do we see this pressure?
pressure right there. You can hear it.
Yes, that's what's coming out of your mouth now.
Not going the
Liquid.
other way.
Yes.
Pressure change.
Okay, I want to address this liquid thing. He's saying something we need to address.
And watch the condensation.
Let's get back on track.
Right?
Just Paul, just Spurs.
Oh, thank you. So, Paul, go ahead. Give us what you've got.
Okay, I've demolished something you just said now. I demolished it already. You can have gas pressure without water. So when I breathe, yes, I am expelling some liquid vapor out of my lungs because there's moisture there. But you can still have pressure without water.
And I'm asking you to demonstrate that. When you remove the water, in my mind, you remove the pressure. So please, can you demonstrate this?
Okay, well, the experiment, I showed it to you in a laboratory, in an air compressor. They remove the water and you still have pressure.
What, you didn't show how much pressure was in there?
It depends on the gauge. It depends on the apparatus you're using.
And remember,
you can still have pressure without water.
Mm-hmm. But Paul, was there a gradient in that pressurized container?
I didn't have a gauge hooked up to it. I don't know. The
So
point
that's
is
what we need
still,
to know.
it's
So
simple,
Paul,
Spurs. You're talking about gradient. I'm talking about specifically gas pressure. I'm not talking about a gradient.
Okay.
You got to have gas pressure before you have a gradient, correct? Correct?
You've got to have gas pressure before the gradient. Yeah, so you would pressurize the
Okay,
gas,
so
then it would form a gradient, yes.
Okay, so there's gas pressure in a tank. I can remove all the water through a mechanism, remove all the water from that, and still have air pressure inside of a tank.
So they say.
Water.
That's what they say. That's what we're trying to find out, Paul. So they say. That's what the talk is all about. There's no gradient. We've removed the water, and there's no. So we need to find that out, right?
How would you do it?
What are you talking about?
I have no idea. It's not my claim.
So, but you've made the claim. You've made the claim. You've made the claim. You can only have pressure with water. That is your claim. That's your claim.
Pressure, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but you can
absolutely. That's
so
right.
you can't have gas pressure without water. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if you remove the liquid, the gradient, where it forms at the bottom, and you remove that liquid, there'll be no pressure. And that's in any container. A car tire, if you remove the water from your car tire, if you were able to do that, there would be no pressure in your tire. Very simple. So
wrong.
If you can, if I'm wrong, excellent, fantastic. I'm wrong. This is what I want to hear. Now,
Wait,
all we
so
need
I
from
have
239
water
people
in
watching,
my tires right now. I'm sorry.
So listen to me. We have 239 people watching, plus 10 on Discord, plus 5 on the panel here. We should be able to show that I'm wrong and this is incorrect. That you remove the water.
I'll tell you. Okay,
yeah,
there's two ways currently to fill air in tires that I know of. Okay, ask if there's a mechanic on the panel somewhere. Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, you can actually use air pressure, the actual atmospheric pressure, atmospheric air, to fill your tire, or you can use nitrogen.
Okay.
Is nitrogen a gas?
Will there be a gradient in that container?
Not an answer.
No, there won't.
So it'll be gas pressure without a gradient.
Just asking you about nitrogen. Just let's not go off the rails. Just ask him again, Paul.
Okay, there's two ways you can put air in a tire. Okay, through ambient air, which we breathe, or nitrogen. Like my car, my Subaru, they actually recommend putting nitrogen in the tire, and there's actually a reason why.
Mhm.
There's a reason why is because it's if you have multiple gases, the temperature will fluctuate because of the different gases inside there, because of the temperature of the tire. Nitrogen has a more stable pressure because it's mostly nitrogen, but you still have pressure and it's mostly nitrogen.
Yeah, that's also a thing, by the way. When gases and liquids and anything pretty much get mixed in, their average response changes. The temperature and the melting. I learned this in goldsmithing. The more you mix in, the more the boiling point, solidifying point, all that changes due to the mixture of. And if you have a monotonous material or gas or water, that's perfectly what is it? Monoatomic. Sorry. Then it's very stable. It's more predictable in its response to temperature changes.
Chocolate, check this out. So Formula One cars don't use compressed air because, when the cars are going at 200 miles an hour, all the water is flung towards the tires, makes the car heavier. So they use a different type of gas that causes less of a gradient and not so many problems.
No shit, he's just said that. He's
Wait a minute, you just proved my point.
That's his whole point.
What? You still have a less of a gradient, though.
No, not gradient. You just made his point, but not knowing what the bloody gas is. Yeah, they use nitrogen.
Oh, nitrogen, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so that nitrogen is still flung towards the walls, right? Obviously. What? Yeah, I was going 200 miles an hour, right? That'd be very difficult for them to stay. It's like shaking in a can.
You're talking about inside a tire.
Inside a tire, yeah. So imagine shaking a can at 200 miles an hour, right? Those gases are going to go everywhere. Well, towards the edges, right? So with compressed air, they don't use compressed air because there's too much water in the air, right? And all of that water is flung towards the inside of the outer of the inside the tire. And so like Paul said, they use nitrogen there, because obviously it's a lot lighter.
Who's rustling? Who's rustling? Somebody's rustling.
But yeah, Paul and Chocolate, if you can remove the water from your car tire, that tire will have no pressure at all. Zero pressure.
Oh my goodness. Really? Oh my goodness. He just talked twice. He just double spoke.
No, I've just
he's not double spoke. He's doubled down. That's what he's done.
Yeah. Double speak, double down.
Oh, look, all it needs is a
demonstration. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. It's getting...
I don't see what to do is, actually. It's a very simple demonstration to perform. And if there is pressure, it should be easily demonstrated. Just like they say,
breathe.
Look how much trouble the poor earthers have demonstrating this gravity, right? Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Why don't you try breathing in and out water?
Well, if you have water, very, very fine particles.
Oh, sure. Why not? Try it out. Get in a
fine particles of water are.
Nobody's picked up on what Orange just said. He's basically said just go and drown yourself. That's what he's actually saying, just for the audience's benefit while the hangouts.
Blowing your mind, Chocolate. Sorry, but that's what it is. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that there's water in the air.
Please just take a deep breath of water. Please.
It's not like that, Arwin. It's in such a state.
Anyway, however you like.
It's not like you're under the sea and you take a gulp of water. It's very fine and it's like thin and steep. It's like
hold on, Spurs. Once was subtle. Now you've done it 3 times. Look, no encouraging people to take their own lives, please, Arwin. Thank you.
Only if you really, really believe this shit.
No, I don't believe anything, Arwin. I see the demonstrations speak for themselves. It doesn't matter what I say or what you say. The demonstration will tell you what you need to know.
I just demonstrated. You can have gas. I'm sorry. Go ahead, 10th man. I'm sorry.
So when Paul shows the data from the hot air balloon, the helium balloon, and the temperature is rising rather than getting colder, that goes against you and Double D saying the higher you go, the colder it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know what?
again, it doesn't matter what I say, what David says, what Paul says. It's about demonstrations. That's the key. That's what.
That's what he's showing. The data shows that when the helium balloon goes at a certain level, it actually gets hotter, whereas your whole premise is it gets colder.
Yeah, it gets colder, but yeah, we saw it get warmer, and that could tell us why the sun is localized sun. Okay, this could give us all kinds of answers, right?
That's not your argument. That's not your argument.
Yeah,
Your argument is temperature is the
again, this is
container.
something brand new.
Your argument is temperature is the container.
There is no argument here. No, that's not my argument. There is no argument here. There was the discussion.
Are you saying temperature is the container, or is there a container?
David saying.
Yeah. First chemo. Look, if the temperature is higher than there, why isn't the pressure higher as well? Because that is what you say.
Yeah, I've seen that video, and like I say, how I understand barometers.
That's not an answer to my question. If you
so
say that pressure and temperature are directly correlated, why isn't the pressure higher at that zone where the temperature goes up 20 degrees?
Yeah, but how can we be sure? How can you guarantee the device?
Because the reading said it. That's why. That's what the data says.
Yeah.
When it was red. When they went there with the balloon.
Does it really tell us anything, though, Warren?
Yes.
What does it tell us?
Gives us the data of the temperature and the pressure at the different heights.
Look, I'm only interested in cause and effect. Right? Why do things fall?
I'll go and find some then, because you're just talking around everything and you're ignoring.
Just before.
So,
guys, sorry to interrupt. Arwin. Hold on, 10th man. Hold on, 10th man. Arwin. My understanding was that you had something on Newton. Is that not correct? I was hoping to round out with it.
On Newton?
Yeah. Is the birdie that told me this wrong?
I don't know what birdie told me. Or you. I did find something interesting in the Big Bang Theory, and I did manage to find the episode. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Sorry.
No, definitely not. So the person said, I'll just repeat their comment. Let Arwin present something bang tidy, up to date, against Newton. The conclusion is the Cavendish experiment is not current science.
Okay, but wasn't the Cavendish after Newton?
I don't know. I'm not the birdie. Shout out to Unicorn Laser Eyes. The super chat says, "Put a cup of H2O in my tires. They inflated right up."
Exactly. I can't wait to go to my mechanic. Tell him, could you please take all the water out of my tires? Thanks.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Also, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!